A very good afternoon, my dear viewers, and welcome back to another live session on our platform of GETI Live Talks under the hashtag Disruptive Education Movement. GETI Live Talk Forum is an initiative by Global Education and Training Institute under Dr. Sunita Gandhi with the sole vision to transform education by sharing ideas for change. And we at GETI are committed to teachers' training and professional development to facilitate learning, teaching, and sharing ideas and next practices with the world. Well, this is a unique global movement that is hashtag Disruptive Education Movement to bring about education leaders from across the globe to deliberate and discuss. And for this, you can also visit our website, that is gettylearn.org, and you can explore our course offerings for pre-service and in-service teachers and school leaders. And as I said that we bring education leaders from around the globe, so today we have with us Miss Anjali Nair, who is presently enrolled as a project associate cum PhD student with National Physical Laboratory, NPL, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Nair. And before this, she was a scientific assistant with the Central Pollution Control Board. And talking about her experience in teaching, she has worked as a primary teacher in St. Thomas Marthoma Public School, as a science and English faculty, and in Tagore Public School as well. Talking about her achievements, she was given the Radhakrishna Fellowship Award from Maharishi Dayanand University in Rohtak and Delhi Meritorious Award from Deen Dayal Upadhyay College in Delhi University, of course. And today she will be talking on the need of higher education with special outlook on research. A very warm welcome to you, Anjali ma'am, on this platform of GETI. And without much ado, I would request you to please take over the session.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, good evening to all. Thank you, Miss Preena Arora, for such a warm welcome and introduction of mine. I'm also grateful to GETI that it had given me with this opportunity to come forward and talk on the subject, that is the need of higher education with special perspective on research. So let's start. So the topic which I'll be briefing today is the need of higher education with a special perspective on research. I hope this session will enlighten the minds of youth as well as the next generation students and inspire the leaders of today for a disruptive change in education. So before we move on to the main topic, let's have a quick glimpse on the education system in India. So according to the World Bank report of 2017, it was being stated that more than 1 million students are being enrolled into the school education system in India. And all thanks to this Right to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, which had made it mandatory as well as free for the children up to the age of 6 to 14 years, that is up to class 8. They can have the free access to education. So though we have this act, but there are still some states like Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Assam as well, where we haven't seen much higher gross enrollment ratio of the students into the education system. Now, moving into the language of instruction in the schools and other education system, we have English as a common language. Other than that, we have Hindi and other regional languages which are being used as a medium of instruction between the students. Now, talking about the academic year of enrollment, in school system, it begins with the June or July and ends by March or April. And for higher education, it mainly begins with July and ends by May. Now, moving on to the hierarchical classification of the education system in India, we have preschool education, lower elementary education, upper elementary education, secondary education, that is till our 10th class. Then we have upper secondary education, that is from 11th to 12th class. Then we have higher education system, that is the university level of education, which is basically a 3-year or 4-year program course where we have the bachelor's degree, followed by we can pursue this master's degree, or else after that we can have the masters of philosophy or any kind of doctoral degree that we have to want to have. But nowadays, we have seen that this national education policy of 2020, when it came up, it removed the masters of philosophy from the education system. So basically, it's that after masters, you can opt this PhD degree. So this was the basic overview of the education system in India. Now, moving on to what is higher education. So in a layman language, if you want to say what is this higher education, it's just the education, or it's just the degree, or it's just the training that we acquire after our 12th class, that is after our upper secondary education. So higher education actually is the post-secondary education, or the training or the research guidance at the education institutions. So earlier it was being seen that that means before independence, especially in India, this higher education was only meant for this elite group of people. But after independence, the scenario had changed, and a report had stated that in 1960, where the enrollment of the students in higher education system was 12 million, and by 1997, it increased to 88 million. That was a 7-fold increase. Now, why there is a rising demand for higher education? Why people opt for this higher education at a greater pace nowadays? The first reason is that the demand for human resource had undergone higher level of education. I mean, the demand for the human resource who had undergone this higher level of education or training grew up with the increasing complicated society or economy. This was the first reason. And the second reason was that over the past 50 years, basically the developing countries had put their energy into expanding the basic education. Therefore, the relative increase in the schooling of country citizens had increased, and therefore middle class started to demand for higher level of education in order to secure the success in the society. Now, what is the role of higher education? Why we need this higher education? So first is that the development of human resource is necessary for the economic and social development. Second is that it enables the creation and diffusion of knowledge. Third, it enables the development of healthy civil society and cultivating social cohesion. That is, it enables the extent of connectedness and solidarity among groups. And the last one is, it is a means of self-realization where fulfillment of one's own potential can be achieved. Now, what are the key elements for the revolution in higher education? First one is the massification. So before, I have stated that higher education earlier was only meant for this elite group of people. But afterwards, we have seen that the increased admittance to the worldwide to the higher education has increased tremendously. Now people think that it is actually the economic necessity and it is actually the need of the individual to pursue the higher education. The second key element is the diversification. Diversification means the higher education has different disciplines. So it enables the developmental activities in the view of the future needs of the society and humanity. And the third key element is the research. It actually enables the generation of newer knowledge to sustain the developmental activities of the society. So that is why research is meant to be the key element for revolutionizing the higher education system. Now, what is this research? Research is basically any kind of process of scientific systematic inquiry where you gather up the data, you analyze the data, you document the critical information, and finally you test the hypothesis, whether it is correct or not, whether it is valid or not. For that, you can apply different principles like scientific principles and other kind of principles for achieving this. Now, whenever we are talking about this research in the university level, why is this research so important? Because mainly people might have seen that, especially the universities or educational institutes, if they want to highlight their competitive strength, they would highlight mainly upon the research or the research activity that they are dealing with. Now, from the individual perspective, why research is important is that it's not just having a degree or certificate. It's a way where we can have critical analysis, critical thinking, where the individual becomes sustainable to the society, and it enables the economic and the social development of a globalized society. So, according to Mary Lewis, knowledge that is generated by research is just a basis of sustainable development, and once it gets converted, it can be applicable to various kind of resources, and it can ensure widespread benefits. So why Indian higher education is lacking in research? That's a major question over here. So before that, I would like to give up a highlight on the data, which had stated that according to QS World University Ranking, only IITs and IASC are among the top institutes which are ranking in terms of research, followed by CSIR institutes. So, why there is a lack in Indian institutes or universities in terms of research? So, these are the following reasons. First one is the lack of quality faculties. We don't have enough faculties in different perspective of research areas who can guide us properly. The second one is that we don't have enough good quality of students who move on to the higher education system, especially in research. The basic issue is that whenever we want to intake any student in the research area, we just take up a mere test and we just see whether the student clears up or not. That should not be there. We should have a proper framework where we can ask the student or the individual to come up with the research idea, present the research proposal, and analyze it. And he or she should be well aware that how his or her research would be beneficial to the society. Then only a proper quality research work could be undertaken. And then the third one is that we don't have enough funding research institutes, or we don't have any funding research programs, etc., which can supplement the needs of the individual or the fellow who is into the research area. We have only this few research which has been granted by UGC, Universal Grant Commission. They only grant you some kind of fellowships or kind of scholarships only, but that is not enough for the research to be undertaken. Then there is inadequate collaboration between academic and industrial for society need based research. And the last one is the poor or insufficient infrastructure, which is a very serious issue nowadays, because people want, if they want to do a research which is good enough for the society, but they find it very difficult to be done in a particular lab because of the poor or insufficient infrastructure that they have. So now, where are we standing in terms of research? It's that India is the third largest publisher of science and engineering articles, followed by various other countries like Germany, Japan, UK, Russia, Italy, South Korea, and France. However, we see that in terms of research article publication, US and China leads the position. That's because they have enough facilities, they have adequate amount of research fundings, etc., which enables them or which promotes these research fellows to come up with new ideas and publish their articles. Now, what all steps can be taken to improve the research is that first one is the improvement of infrastructure. Definitely, it's very much necessary. Second is the quality of faculty members should be improved. The quality of students intake should be improved, and the research should be connected to the society, so that we can see that through this figure that the inbound, the people who are getting enrolled into the research in India is very less. Rather, people moving out of India to pursue the research is very high. So, by improving or by taking up these steps, the quality of research could be improved. And this is very much important in terms of higher education. So, that's it. Thank you.
Well, Thank you, Ms. Nair, where you talked about by sharing this beautiful quote by Barack Obama that higher education cannot be a luxury reserved just for few, but it's for all. Absolutely. Students who are investing in higher education, they must be given exposure and opportunities where they are able to use all that knowledge to evolve themselves, as well as they are able to contribute in better research studies. And as you said, there are things that are not up to the mark, where we need quality faculties, where we need to uh, you know there are things that are not up to the mark, no faculty, and infrastructure is another big reason where you just mentioned. So definitely these steps can be taken to improve it. And I think teaching, research based teaching learning will actually improve if the teachers are engaged. They will enhance, they'll be up
Definitely,
to date with the
definitely.
latest information and updated facts, instead of things that are already mentioned in the books from last so many years. They'll be up to date, and that's how they can encourage children also. Students will learn more if they come in contact with the research based learning. They will be more involved.
Yeah,
And professional practice, as you said, it will improve if the professional workers in their training, they learn how to base their work on research base. So I think that's important. And with what we just discussed, we can improve the relevance of the education and can prepare the students for follow-up studies and to the um, new and emerging demands of the market in the 21st century, especially.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
this, and academics can help students by engaging them in research, and they can develop better things, and can also you, this will actually make the teaching more attractive for the academicians, and that's the way we should follow, that you
Yeah,
just talked about. So I think very quickly you explained something very important, and indeed it was very informative. Thank you so much for joining us
thank
today,
you.
and
Thank you.
thanks to all the viewers. If you have any questions related to the topic, you can post it in the comment section. Ms. Nair will definitely try to answer them as and when it will be possible. So yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. And dear viewers, let's come together. Let us brainstorm the course forward, enable transformation, and create waves of positive educational disruption across the world. And also, I would request you all to watch our D Talks, or the Disruptive Literacy Talks, the hashtag Disruptive Literacy Movement, an initiative by Global Dream Literacy, or where it's a way to build momentum towards people's movement in which all literate citizens, they can help India achieve universal literacy. So do watch our D Talks, and with this, a very goodbye to everyone. Thank you so much, Ms. Naya, once again.
Thank you.
And thank you, viewers. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.